Oh boy, it's Friday. Welcome, Internet, to another episode of SJU. Roth is doing criminal things, so I'm standing in again. She's not really. I gotta stop making that. That's a dumb joke now.
Actually, she's at the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Oh.
Fantastic Beasts.
Aha.
So criminal
He
things.
is doing
I was,
Solving criminal things.
I was magically correct. I'm Joe Starr. That's Dan Merle, Billy Business,
Yep.
Roxy Stryer.
That's my
Let's
new
do
thing.
it.
I don't know why. It's just been like a,
You've needed a catchphrase for a
the
while.
least
and
amount
I
of
feel like-
energy. How do you transcribe it?
I think it's perfect.
Mwah, mwah,
Mwah,
mwah,
mwah.
mwah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. We're talking Ewan McGregor joining the DCEU. We're taking a whole bunch of fan questions. We're talking old animated movies, or old live action movies that would benefit from an animated remake. We're talking about what we hope changes about cinema in the next 5 years and what we hope stays the same. We're talking soundtracks that saved otherwise terrible movies. And we're checking in for a little more information about Billy Business and his Scaredy blanket.
Yes.
But
I've
first-
been waiting since yesterday to hear more about the Scaredy blanket.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, we're
You'll
gonna get
learn.
there.
You'll
We're
learn
gonna
about my
get there.
Scaredy blanket. It's a real thing.
So,
Okay.
Unbeaten 4 asked, hey SJ, what's your thoughts on the Black Mask casting? Ewan McGregor is joining Warner Brothers and DC's Birds of Prey movie as the villain Black Mask. Deadline recently confirmed it. McGregor is joining Margot Robbie, who's reprising her role as Harley Quinn. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's playing Huntress, and Journey Smollett-Bell, who's playing Black Canary. It's reported elsewhere, I don't know if this is confirmed or not off the top of my head, that Rosie Perez is playing Renee Montoya.
I don't believe it.
That's good casting.
Yeah, it would be-
I don't
Fun.
believe anything
It
about
was-
the DC
Yeah.
Warner.
What if
universe.
you like, I never believe anything regarding Rosie Perez?
Yeah, I never believe any piece of news about Rosie Perez.
It's just there's too much
I've
wrapped
been
up in it.
burned too many times on the Perez beat to just believe any old Rosie Perez news that comes flying out.
She's officially still in talks.
Okay, Rosie Perez
yeah.
still
It was announced that she was Renee Montoya, and then it was announced that she was in talks.
is one of those. It was
They
one
walked it back a little bit.
Gotcha, walked it back a little
and
bit.
then forward again.
I
but-
believe it when I see Rosie rosing up the screen.
It's been a while. I don't
even
even remember the last movie I saw. Maybe like Pineapple, Express.
Yeah.
I feel that.
What
feel
year
like
was that?
That was like
2008. That was
yeah.
10 years ago.
I know. I feel like I've
Yeah,
seen her in
almost
something
10
else
years
since
old.
then, but I can't. It doesn't spring to mind.
I've been smoking for a while.
Yeah.
A decade.
Relevant.
She's too good an actor to just be the really funny lady from White Man Can't Jump to
Yes.
me. Like that she's
Wasn't she
I
in
owe her
Living
more than
Color? No?
I don't know.
that. No, she wasn't in the In Living Color cast. She was just.
I kind of know what you're talking about,
Wasn't
though,
she-
Billy. I'll do a little
She
research.
was something in one of those.
Can we go to the
shows.
producer
Oh, yeah,
cam
maybe
real
he can
quick,
do
just to
research.
get that, just to have them do some more deep diving on Rosie Perez real quick, JTE?
Yeah, there's no one there.
Good talk.
No, I know. I was setting you up for a bit where you look at the empty. Never mind.
Jokes are always funnier when you explain them.
You know, or
I like that JT said to you, "There's no one there," as if you
As if
thought.
you didn't- as if
Yeah.
we- you're not
As if
looking
you
at the
can't
chair.
see the empty chair.
thanks though, man. Yep. Solid. JTE very awakened with it today. Oh boy. So Ewan McGregor, guys.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a name
Love
to
it.
sort of add to this movie. How are we feeling, Dan, Merle?
I love Ewan McGregor. I feel like people don't use him enough. He is oftentimes the best thing about bad movies, and sometimes he's the best thing about great movies too.
Yeah.
Great in Moulin Rouge. Got some pipes. He can sing. If he's not going to do Obi-Wan Kenobi, which it looks like he's not going to, which I'm okay with, actually. I don't mind that. I know a lot of people wanted it, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think he can make a great villain. Super villain. I think he's got it in him. I hope this is true.
Has he ever
I'm
played
so-
bad before?
Yeah, that's what I was. Has he
trying to
played a
think.
villain before? Hey JTE, can we go to the?
No.
I don't think he
Thank you.
has, honestly. I can't remember a villain, a villainous Ewan McGregor character.
I mean, there's something obvious that people are going to say, like, how could you not remember? So I'm not going to say I can't remember to save that, but
Oh,
In
the
what?
island.
Oh,
he
he
was
says
like
he
half
kind of
of
played the bad
yeah,
guy.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
half of the bad guy in the island.
what was it, like a Two-Face
Ish.
situation?
Well, did you
no,
see
he's
it?
like a clone.
I know it's. I'm
Oh, okay.
just joking.
I don't remember. I don't remember the island.
I saw it one time and I was like, yeah, this movie's kind of weird.
No one remembers the island. There's gonna be one guy that in the comments is just like the island was mush.
Island guy.
Isn't that the one that Michael Bay reused special effects from?
Yes.
Look it up. Michael Bay reused like a whole 5 whole shots of special effects from the island in a later movie.
I am really excited about this one again with Dan. Like as long as it's happening, because you just kind of have to say that right now when it comes to the worlds of DC, which we're also calling DCEU. So I think that Ewan McGregor is a perfect choice for Black Mask. I think that we heard rumors of this. It was between him and I forget the other actor's name, but that was like a month ago where they were both in talks. So I think that this is sticking. And I think he'll do a great job. It's an interesting villain, typically a Batman villain that I'm excited to see here. I wonder how they're going to balance how much of his actual face we're going to see. Obviously, Ewan McGregor being one of the bigger stars in this movie, but having his face covered the whole time is not beneficial for Ewan McGregor or the publicity of the film. So I hope they do stick to keeping him in the mask as opposed to doing that thing where like Will Smith does, where he's like, and then this is the excuse to take off my mask because
it's me,
I'm
Will Smith.
Oh, like Red Skull. How he's half the movie's not really Red Skull.
He's got a mask on.
Yeah, so
You know
we'll
what
see
I
how
think
that
is
works.
cool though? We've had a somewhat steady stream of Batman movies for almost 30 years, and we have like 12 Jokers and 3 Catwomen and everything. We've never had a Black Mask. Like I kind of just think it's like we're finally starting to get to like new villains, which always makes me kind of excited.
Show me the movie that pulls off Clock King, and that movie will get several return visits from me.
It's doable.
It is doable.
Totally
I think he's
doable.
doable.
The animated series was able to make Clock King.
Yeah.
A viable.
Yeah.
Right,
Live action would be challenged.
It'd be tough.
Yeah.
That's a little more CWE than maybe
Yeah,
the movies,
probably
you know?
a little bit. But I mean, this is a really cool ensemble so far. I think, but the other movies have had really great ensembles and have had varying levels of success. Is this, I mean, it feels like it's more of, how's it going to feel? What's the tone going to be? What's the execution of the film? What's the vision? But, a nice Ewan McGregor in that sort of goes a long way.
Yeah, this cast is very interesting because I can't quite figure out where everybody fits in it. But I feel like ever since we've kind of had a little bit of a new direction, yes, we're still getting like, that's kind of weird coming out. But have you noticed that while rumors have been coming out, they've at least started to be a little bit more like succinct and not like all over
They're
the
directed
place?
rumors instead of like, opening the paper and it's like, Tommy Lee Jones returning as Two-Face. What?
What? Ewan McGregor to voice one of the Batsuit nipples?
Huh? Yeah, they used to just be like all over the place.
Yeah.
So
It's
now they
getting
all
a
seem to
little-
be like,
And we're kind of getting a
Yeah.
more rule of 3 thing. Like, I feel like when we hear about the Joker news, it's like they hit us once, twice, 3 times. Move on to Birds of Prey. Once, twice, 3 times. Move on to Flash. That just got pushed back. So.
Yeah. They just push it back 3 times.
Yeah.
That's the rule of
1,
3
2,
news for
3
more
times.
Flash.
But the timeline seems to be making a little bit more sense now. Like, I can kind of see a rough, like, okay, I think this is kind of where it's going to go, rather than just like, we'll do this movie and then Nightwing over here and then we'll do a Joker Harley Quinn over here. Like, we kind of know it's like Joaquin Phoenix Joker, Birds of Prey.
Well, first it's
and then
Aquaman.
Flash. Well, we know the 2 that are happening for sure. 'Cause those are
Aquaman and
happening.
Shazam.
But in terms of like what could be coming, I feel like it's becoming a little bit less loosey-goosey.
And I do appreciate
Love
the
that
fact
term.
that since, they've loved that Joker. I do appreciate that since, they sort of hit their, I don't know, it's not a reset necessarily, a refocus that I have no idea what this looks like. I have no idea what it feels like. They're not beholden to any kind of mold. They're not beholden for it to feel like Suicide Squad. They're not beholden for it to feel like Man of Steel or BVS or even going back further, it doesn't have to be like just a gritty, straight up crime movie like The Dark Knight. They have this weird scale now of what a DC movie can look like and feel like. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see sort of where this falls. Is it going to be more on the funny Shazam side of the spectrum? Or will it be, more on the Suicide Squad side of the spectrum?
we've got a lot of time to talk about it, Joe.
We have plenty of time to talk
Couple
about
years.
it.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
I think it'll depend on how well Shazam does. I
Yeah.
feel like if
This
they
could
see
still not happen. very easily not happen.
Yeah.
These trailers are all just a fever dream that we're all sharing.
I just believe nothing. I believe nothing until it's like.
Or next week, our thumbnail is Birds of Prey falls apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Birds of a feather don't flock together.
Oops. Never mind.
I like our
if I have
old-timey
to
headlines.
read another headline that says "birds of a feather flock together,"
No, I'm sure.
describing this, I'm gonna legit run.
I want to start it.
First, I started circling my
I was
head.
like, are
and
you
then I was
shaving
like,
your
don't-
head?
No,
Are you pulling a Britney 2004?
I was making a noose, and then it felt like it wasn't that level. So.
Yeah, you're like, it's not that much. I'm gonna take that off,
take
and
it
maybe,
off and
but
just run.
I'm
Go
gonna
the
run.
long
I'm gonna run.
I want to start an entertainment news website called Nevermind.
Never.
And the only thing that it does is just go back and correct everything that was reported the day before that turns out to not be true or not
Alec
accurate
Baldwin.
or
Never
yeah,
mind.
never mind.
Never mind.
JK.
Never mind.
Like the birds of.
Nah.
Moving on. Let's get into some fan questions, guys. It is,
Fan questions.
after all, Friday. Oh, look at that. We're using them.
I wonder
why
if
you
the
never do
producer
that
has
for
a question for us. Right, JT? Am I right?
Original Caffeinator asked. I like this one a lot.
Original caffeinator.
The original
original.
Caffeinator.
Wow.
The real
No
original
imitation.
Caffeinator.
OG caffeinator.
Is that Juan Valdez? Who's the original caffeinator?
He asked, with all of the old animated movies getting live action remakes, what old live action movies do you think would benefit from getting an animated remake?
We also are doing that. Isn't that exactly what Disney is doing?
Well,
I mean,
they're taking-
they're doing
Animated.
live action remakes of their animated.
Oh,
This
okay,
guy's
the opposite.
flipping it.
Yeah, got it.
The
I
first
see
thing
what
I thought
happened
of
there.
was
Dyslexia.
the Last Starfighter. I think would be a really cool feature animated series. I think that's how you balance giving it sort of a modern update with actual cool action and scope, and still maintain some of the fun and cheese and nostalgia. I think you just go full animation with a Last Starfighter
Are we just
movie.
doing Disney or?
No, I think anything. I've always thought that if they're going to, I just feel like at some point they're going to remake this movie, and if they're going to do it, it's so perfect as is. I would rather see something different, and especially with the swamp, you could do wild things with the Princess Bride. Like if this was an animated movie,
could be fun.
and,
Yeah,
it's
see that.
kind of wild, and like you've got pirates and ways to do that, and you've got the swamp place and all those creatures and
Yeah.
whatnot.
You could even do that. Could be fun. You could even do the the son and the grandfather live action and
Yeah, then go into
your
an
stories animated. I
Yeah.
think that could actually be really, really fun.
Like maybe he's playing a video game instead and reading. I don't know. It could be really cool.
Yeah.
If you're gonna remake it, which I don't recommend.
But if you are, Dan,
I'm trying to
Billy?
Go ahead, Billy, because I don't have one.
I would actually say Flash Gordon. I feel like Flash Gordon is one of those things where it was very big in the serials, and then that movie came out. Was it the 80s or late 70s? I'm not
80s.
sure. And
it's
it didn't quite hit, but it's still like, for whatever reason, even though like a lot of people are like, yeah, I've never seen it, but they know what it is.
if you say
At
Flash at them, they'll go,
conventions,
Yeah.
it's huge,
yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
He does all the signings.
So I would take that and just do like a DreamWorks or Pixar level kind of just like animated CG version of it and bring it to a whole new audience. Give it a new life.
It's depressing that all of our ideas so far for old movies have been from 1985
Yeah,
and
yeah,
back. So I'm going to go a little bit further back. They remade this as Rat Race in 2001, but I think you could really do it well in animation. It's a mad
Mad
world,
World,
which
yeah.
is like this zany kind of race to the treasure type movie. I think you could take that and get a great voice cast, and then the way that it's structured, I think you could really push the boundaries a little bit more with animation. Again, if it's going to be a remake, a lot of times remakes aren't necessary, but that's something where I think you could take a movie that's I think as far as like the all-star cast of its time to a modern audience, a lot of those people have just they don't hold the same kind of resonance. So I think that's a way that you could sort of have fun in the animated medium, cast a voice cast that resonates with a modern audience, and have a little fun with the format too.
What do you think about It's a Wonderful Life? If they made
As an
that
animated
An
classic?
animated movie.
like
Yeah.
as a Rankin Bass Christmas animated movie, or just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean, in any way that you're imagining.
In any way you're imagining, man.
That's such a devious. How do you see it?
It could be totally wild.
Or you could definitely get more into like the angels like stuff, like that imagery with animation for sure.
The other one I've always actually, if I had Screw You money, I would finance this completely. Remaking The Last Dragon with the team that did the Boondocks series on Adult Swim, I think would be really, really cool. They, even in that show, they just balanced like humor and social commentary and like his love of martial arts and old kung fu movies so well. I think that could be just a really, really cool, fun feature. Yeah. Or you just
good job, guys.
Or you just re-release Last Dragon, which I think should be done annually in theaters. And if you haven't seen it, you should do yourself a favor and watch The Last Dragon. Ronnie asked, Ronnie.
I don't know.
What do you hope changes about cinema in the next years, and what do you hope stays the same? Mr. Merle.
I have an answer to those two, and then one in the middle.
Okay.
What do I hope changes the most about cinema in the next few years is that I hope that the theater chains put a higher standard on the theater experience, because I feel like that is now becoming a major detractor for people going to the movies. The fact that, or even just pick times. Like if you want to, I understand that you can't have people patrolling all the time, but just maybe just the weekend evenings, just have people in there that are more stringent on cell phones and talk stuff like that. I know a lot of people say, well, it's the modern, just get with the modern times, but there are people that don't go to the movies because the etiquette has fallen so much that it's a waste of time because you can't really enjoy the movies. So that's what I hope changes. I hope the change really put a focus on that. What I hope actually advances, something that's been happening the last couple of years as the Transformers and other big franchises have fallen off, studios are once again starting to focus a little bit more on the mid-budget movie and things like A Star is Born and films like that where it's not all $200 million blockbusters and $6 million indies. I feel like studios are starting to turn back to even movies like First Man, which is about a $40 million movie, but from Universal. It's not it's not an astronomical budget, but it's not a tiny budget either. I hope that they continue to sort of recultivate the landscape with different kinds of movies, because I get it, for about 10 years it seemed like it was all franchises and blockbusters, and we still have a lot of those, but I think there's the pendulum swinging back a little bit. And what I hope stays the same, I think we have a very vibrant indie scene right now. I think the indie scene right now is probably the strongest it's been since the mid-90s. Not the movie, the era, the actual era. And so I hope that stays the same. I hope that, that first of all, places like Neon can continue to thrive as they are now, and A24, and also that studios continue to, for example, Fox Searchlight, which I hope continues to get that support once the merger's done, continue to support the ones that do have indie branches, continue to support those, because I think that's it's important to have those as well. So that's my long-winded answer.
Solid long-winded answer, though, man. Business?
What I hope changes about cinema, I would actually say kind of like the discourse around it. I kind of hope that we don't have to have year after year of what's this year's Last Jedi. I kind of hope that notion of like what's this year's most divisive thing to fight about kind of fizzles out after a while. That'd be nice. What do I hope stays the same or even like gets better? Man, those luxury loungers were a game changer. I don't think I can go see a movie now that's not in the luxury lounger, because it even makes like, if it's a crappy movie that I'm just not into,
at least you're in that nice chair.
Then I can just recline it all the way back and be like, this isn't for me, and just kind of take a little nappy poo.
So expensive, Billy. That's an expensive nap.
It's an expensive habit, but my wife will not go to the movies if it's not at the Cinemark luxury lounger now. She just won't do it.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Chairs can make or break.
Chairs totally make or break.
There is a theater. I mean, I go to a mix, but there is a theater that is here in Los Angeles. It's not part of a chain, but that sometimes I need to go to for work purposes. That is startlingly uncomfortable. Like I have.
Is it one of those screening rooms?
No, it's not a screening room.
Oh,
It's
God.
it's like an actual theater, but it's like a standalone. Not the Vista. I just want to make sure that people know it's not the Vista. The Vista is one of the best theaters in Los Angeles. It's a different one.
Support the Vista.
Support the Vista. It is. If the movie's over an hour and a half, I start having legitimate
Back pain.
issues because there's no leg room. It's an older theater and it's been massive need of improvements. So I will agree that poor seating can influence certainly the film going experience.
Oh, one other thing that I hope stays the same, or at least like continues or gets better, is I freaking love Fathom events, because there's a lot of things that I just didn't get to see when they came out before
a
I
really
was
good call.
born, or I was too little to see them in theaters. And every now and again, like they're showing Batman Mask of the Phantasm on the big screen again. Like they've shown Jurassic Park and all that stuff. Like those are fun. So keep doing it.
Really
Fathom
good call.
events.
Rocks?
Something I hope at least doesn't get worse and kind of stays the same is concessions, in terms of now I feel like people are eating loud things in theaters, but it's gotten louder over the last few years. Like
Yeah.
the kind of smelly things you are allowed to bring into the theaters and eat now. Like you can have full blown sushi, steak, shrimp, like meals. And so I'm hoping that we don't move that further. Also, a lot of these theaters have waiters come out and like they think they're quiet and they're not
Oh, yeah,
quiet.
for sure.
It's not.
And that sucks. If you're gonna place an order, do it before you get in there. It just, I hope that doesn't get worse, because I'm picturing like now you'll go to theaters and it will be like seafood night, and I'll just like
The food thing's an interesting challenge.
The
'cause
red wine is what gets me. Like the red wine is such a pungent odor that like if I'm in it, like I just am getting high off red wine fumes. I don't know why. It's just such a
that doesn't
weird
bother me, because
thing
at
to
least
smell
it's
in a movie
quiet.
theater.
People are drinking it and it's quiet. But like
Yeah.
these, when you're like cutting steak, and it's like
Yeah.
and I'm like, what the actual F is happening?
Because that's been
Like
like
during a
a
quiet place,
Yeah.
and someone's just hacking
Yeah.
away at a piece of meat.
no joke.
like because that's been sort of a trendy movement over the past couple years, is like these restaurants that are
Dine-in,
like dine in, you can have our 4-star chef has a
Yeah.
steak, and it's
Our nicest Italian restaurant back home paired with the movie theater, and like people are having like chicken marsala dishes and piccata in the movies.
How do you navigate a movie
Yeah.
like A Quiet Place? Because I can imagine, like, if you go to see A Quiet Place, it would completely ruin the atmosphere if, like, it's completely silent and you're just hearing, like, did you have the cheese sticks?
Yeah,
yeah.
Who ordered the cheese sticks?
it's
Hey, I'm sorry. What would you recommend between?
I don't know if you've ever been to dine-in. That would be a much better experience. It's usually like in a quiet place, and they'll come in and they'd be like, Coke? Do you have the Coke? Do you
Yeah.
guys need your receipt? Do you need your receipt?
no, thank
Because
you.
they did that when I
It was
went and saw
brutal.
Halloween the other night. Like we had the waiter come to the people next to us, and
I'll go eat before the movie.
Yeah. See,
after.
It seems like a neat idea, but then remember that one time in your shared workspace where someone just like microwaves
Broccoli.
or shrimp or something, and
it just smells like feet.
yeah, and then just everything's
how about Cook's Fish? You can't cook fish in your workplace.
yeah.
It smells like
it's a bad
fish.
And then you walk that into a movie
it's
theater.
so rude.
It's a bad look.
One of the places I work, we have an entire kitchen where people like really on the stovetop, and somebody made fish the other day, and it's like, it's a studio. It smells like fish now. We've got A-list celebrities walking in, and they're like, it smells like fish in here. It's not a good look. And I don't want my movies, so I'm concerned about that.
I'm trying to play.
Now I'm just picturing
based
what
on-
A-list star walked in.
It's like,
It said
whoa.
it smells like fish.
Well, I'm trying to go based on context clues,
Yeah.
what Roxy's talking about. And I'm like, okay, full studio. I think I know what that is.
Yeah.
They have a kitchen with a stove. I think I know what A-list celebrities. No, it's not that place.
We're out.
Not,
We're out.
We're out completely.
and then another thing I'm slightly concerned about changing would be the landscape of movies in terms of streaming services, and what movies are going to be streaming and what movies are going to be in the theaters, because I love going to the movies. And, Annihilation was one of the movies that was released in the U.S. in the theaters, but overseas went straight to Netflix. And that movie, although the ending was completely destroyed for me, the actual movie, I needed to see that in a theater. It was so big and larger than life that I would have been really upset if I watched that on my laptop.
Yeah, there's one scene in particular in that movie that just would not be as effective.
Yeah. So
I think I agree with you.
So it could be an issue moving forward.
Yeah. Netflix is going. I was reading, is going backwards. They're putting their Oscar hopefuls into limited theater runs, but they can't go into the major chains because the major chains won't run them because they won't respect the window. So they have to go into, as far as like the window, meaning major chains generally require that movies be not on a streaming service for a certain set amount of time after they play, so that people won't wait to go see them. It's like, well, it's going to be on Netflix in a week, so I'm not going to go watch. Why bother? So Netflix has had to go out to these smaller chains and make deals because the bigger ones won't play their movies. But I agree, the theatrical experience is something that should at least be an option. I get it, people don't prefer it, but it should be an option because it's my preference.
My thought was, I want comedy to be able to evolve in mainstream movies. I think it's gotten very sort of safe and bland and very sort of studio controlled.
PC?
No, not necessarily even PC, just market. I'll call it market tested. Vince Mancini over at Film Drunk did this great article sort of about the state of American comedy movies and just sort of compared it to the music industry and how they sell music now, and when they sort of went through this problem of engineers doing like literal like volume control and tone correction within songs, so that if you're listening on a playlist or you're listening on the radio, like their song would literally be like a little louder so that you'd like focus on it and hear it. And he sort of compared that to the current American comedy scene, where it's now they're just the titles are just what they are, what the movie's about. Tag, and
they all look the same.
Yeah, they all look the same.
Tag, I thought was a little more cinematic than a lot of comedies, but that's my big qualm. Is like if you look at comedies now, the great thing is look at the first Dumb and Dumber, and look at Dumb and Dumber 2, and you'll see the evolution of a lot of studio comedies. Dumb and Dumber look like a movie.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber 2 looks like it was shot on a soundstage, as do a lot of comedies nowadays. Even movies like Baywatch, I thought, like, you can tell they light them like this studio. They light them flat so they can run two cameras so they can let their stars riff for 30 minutes, because at some point, I guess Judd Apatow's movies encouraged everyone to just be like, let's let everybody riff forever and not write a script.
Well, everyone was like, look at what
Will
Will Ferrell and Adam McKay did, and now that's just sort of canon.
So they light everything so flat so that they can run multiple cameras at the same time. The music is the same. I mentioned it in like my review for Night School. Is like they all have these like doop doop like cutesy, just like cookie cutter soundtrack, and I was like, telling you what to think. It's like this is a zany scene. I agree. Like there are some. Game Night was one that came out this year that was a studio comedy that I thought looked like a movie and didn't feel like the same generic comedy. But send me that article because I would love to read that, because I agree. It's like just a machine at this point.
Let's put it in the comments. Once you or in the
we can link that in the description. Chris asks, solve it once and for all. Better animated series, Batman or X-Men. We won't get into it today. I'll say this: go back to July and check our San Diego Comic-Con movie fight. Dan and Coy Jandro had an awesome back and forth about that.
Remember TV fights back in the day?
Oh,
we had this
did
debate there as well.
Which I don't think exists anymore.
Yep.
So now you've just really blown everybody's day.
In the recesses of your mind and heart.
Just think about what it would have been like.
Try to download Plus. Struggle with that for a while.
Rex, you couldn't do that when it was still going.
That is a fool's errand.
Oh man!
The amount of family members I had who just texted me back, huh?
Oh boy. Angling3356 said music can make. We'll go back to it. I promise. We're gonna close with it, Billy. He said, "Oh, sorry. I thought you were like, why'd you skip that one?"
No.
Music can make or break a scene, but I don't think it can save a bad movie. What are some bad movies with good soundtracks? Batman Forever is the first movie that sprang to his mind.
By the way, I take umbrage with that. Batman Forever, a great movie, which you can hear my thoughts on my new podcast, Hot Takes with Billy Business, featuring Ed Greer.
That's
there you
awesome.
go. Roxy. Yeah.
Me before you. Me Before You is one of the worst,
Barf.
Yeah.
That movie's
worst
terrible.
movies I have seen in so long, with a message that made me actually want to go take the creators and shove them off of a cliff. It was so wrong and rude and effed up in so many ways, but the soundtrack, the scoring is beautiful. And if you have the balls to sit through the movie, listen to it there. But I recommend don't see the movie, just download the music because it was really good.
Right on. I think this is not a terrible movie. It just wasn't great. It was like fine to good with an amazing soundtrack. It was Tron Legacy. I think the Daft Punk
Daft
score to
Punk,
Tron
yeah.
Legacy just elevated that movie so much. I think if you put anything else over that movie, it would have not even been as memorable or as successful as it was. That was such a cool mix of score and soundtrack.
I'm gonna get in trouble, but only because I just saw them, and I get it that there are people who saw these movies a long time ago who love them. I understand.
Sure.
But I did not find them to be good movies. Were Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles. Great soundtracks,
Yeah.
but boy did I not like those
I get it. You
movies.
watched those with zero nostalgia goggles.
I had no nostalgia goggles. I get it. They are a product of their time.
because you saw them this year, right?
I just saw them
Yeah.
this year.
Talk about some rude things that happen in those films.
They are a product of their time, but I also think that it's worth analyzing because some of that stuff I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
That is. And I know people are like, well, what do you expect? You'd expect them to stand. I get it. I understand that they're a product. That doesn't mean that I can't look at them and just be like, I don't care if people thought
yeah.
that was okay. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Ducky sucks. Blaine sucks.
Yeah.
They both
Oh,
suck.
Ducky has
That
caused
should have
some
been
problems.
there was neither. That's the
A
correct
generation
choice
of
in that film. Neither. They're both awful, Molly Ringwald.
Yeah. Run.
None of the above.
Go to college.
I bet she knew that at the time too.
She didn't appear to.
Her character.
Or her
did not.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
character did not appear to.
Yeah.
But great music. Great
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
but those movies for me do not stand the test of time as far as being able to go back as a first time watcher and enjoy
Yeah.
them.
I'm
now.
so glad you watched them though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had holes.
Yeah.
I've got holes in gaps in my knowledge that I want to fill in.
Sure.
And I'm not taking that away from people that do enjoy them, but I just think that for me, they do not stand up to the scrutiny of modern times, like some films do from that era and many other eras.
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller, for example, I think still holds up.
Yes. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. I think Ducky in particular just launched a generation of
misguided
misguided
men
men.
and gentlemen.
But I'm nice.
He needs to have the police called on him.
Yeah.
Like, he needed to be reported.
It's not
for-
even cute.
No,
Like, it's not.
It's not even like an endearing form of stalking. It's just straight up stalking.
This
Yeah.
is how I feel about. I watched for the first time last year Revenge of the Nerds, and there is a straight up sexual assault scene
Yep.
that they do not address, and then she dates him and is like Stockholm syndrome, and everybody's
Yep.
like, "Yay!"
She's like, you're the best, fun nerd.
He pretended to be somebody else to have sex with her and convinced her that he was somebody else and forced himself on her. Like, why are people talking about this movie? But I didn't see it as a kid, and everybody else who did was like, this movie's so cool.
Yeah,
Get
you know,
over
Revenge of the
yourself.
Nerds.
Yeah,
Well,
get over
it's like,
yourself.
I get it. I get why people would
I
want
get
to
it
defend
too, but
them,
I'm like,
it's,
what?
It's
Yeah.
you know.
It's okay to, even if you like other parts of Revenge of the Nerds, it's okay to look and go, that's bad.
That's wrong.
You
That's
can
not
still
good.
acknowledge problems and things that you love.
Yeah.
That all the time. There are so many movie classics that I can still revere as great films, but can also be like, but that is not cool.
Grease.
Yeah.
Grease is a great
Not a
example.
great message for young
Not a
women.
great
No.
message.
No.
I would say my soundtrack that I really loved to a movie I just never liked, but I listened to the soundtrack all the time in 6th, 7th grade. The 1998 Godzilla soundtrack. Puff Daddy and
Ba, ba, ba.
yep. It had Foo Fighters. It had Ben Folds.
That was a really
That's a
good
good one.
soundtrack.
Jamiroquai, but that
Ben
movie
Folds.
is
Oh my God, he had
awesome.
Jamiroquai.
Wallflowers on that?
Wallflowers.
Yeah, We Can Be Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
with
right.
the-
Terrible
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Great
I
sound. That
love
might- yeah.
that soundtrack.
The only
Billy
other
Wings.
big one I was thinking of was a soundtrack so good it tricked people for a long time into thinking that Zach Braff was a good filmmaker, and that was Garden State. Like
That
Garden
movie
State
is
is
great. Piss
Right.
off.
we found it.
No, what just happened? I love that movie.
That movie's
getting
so
in this
And I
bad.
liked his next one, which I don't remember, but it had to do with like, will I, will you, they'll be there for us.
I never saw that.
That's Friends.
What was it called?
That's the theme to Friends.
Whatever, okay, Dan. Wait, no, what was it called? His next one that was with the girl with the pink or purple hair.
Didn't he
As his
kickstart that
daughter?
one?
Was that the crowdfunded one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Before,
Oof.
will I, before I will.
Yeah.
No.
Will I Am?
Producer,
Will I
can
Am.
we go?
Yeah.
Can we go to the producer camp? Yeah, man, that.
JT, you have to know what I'm talking about. You know all movie titles. What was it called? Wish I was here.
Wish I was
Here.
here. Thank you,
Okay,
Logan.
I was kind of close.
Thank you.
Like, a little
It
bit.
was close. Yeah.
I got the concept.
No, that movie, man, that movie's all soundtrack.
And it's great.
I'll change your life.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll change.
That was the
That
worst
was-
hug I
I
ever
was sharing,
hug. I was like,
no,
what's
I was
going
sharing
on?
my sharing my
It's
earbuds
like, do I
with
hug
you.
back? That's literally my worst nightmare socially right there. That's like what I live in fear of
Wait,
every
to
day is
wait.
like
That
being in a
movie's-
situation like that and not knowing what
To
to
be
do.
clear, what did just happen,
Oh, I was
Joe?
sharing
You went
my
to hug
earbuds.
him?
He was
Oh.
giving me earbuds.
It's
to
the
listen
Smiths,
to.
a band everyone knows. I'm very deep. Would you like to listen?
I
The
thought it was the
Shins,
Shins,
come
yeah.
on.
Oh, it was the Shins.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that movie was. That movie was. I have opinions on music, therefore I am deep. The movie. Oh.
That movie is great. I'm so upset right now.
I
Going
need
into
to
my
go back.
weekends like,
Remember when she's sad at the end?
You didn't even
'Cause
go
he's
to my
not gonna
camera
come
for my
back, but then
face,
he comes
JT.
back. Let's get to the main event, you guys. Erica asks, what I really want to know is about Billy Business and his Scaredy blanket. Hugs and kisses all the way from Mexico City. Thank you, Erica.
Can I get a
Hello.
little backstory?
And also, Ian says, Billy. I tried to say Ian and Billy at the same time, and
Billy.
it didn't work.
I don't know why.
It sounded like I was setting up a Busta Rhymes rhyme. Ian asks, can we see your Scaredy blanket? So first of all, let's refresh, because Roxy
Sure.
is not aware. Some
Bring
of the
it
fans
back.
might not be aware.
I do not like horror movies. I'm very easily scared.
I've gotten that.
I don't like to see them in theaters. If I have to watch it, I want to watch it at home. And I have a designated Scaredy blanket.
That you bring to the theater if you're going to the theater, or only
I
at
can't
home?
bring it to the theater. That's where my wife draws the line.
Uh-huh.
But at home, it doesn't matter what season it is. I will wear the Scaredy blanket in the middle of July.
Where did you get it? What does it look like?
We're getting there.
Okay.
But it's kind of my safety. It's so if something's scary, if I can feel it coming, I just kind of hide behind the Scaredy blanket and I peek out with one eye to
Did
see
you
if
start
something's
calling it
coming.
that, or did she?
Actually, one of my best friends started making fun of me because he brought over Saw 1. He's like, here's your effing Scaredy blanket, you bitch. It just kind of stuck.
That's not a Scaredy blanket movie, though, to be fair.
But I didn't know it
You
at the
didn't know.
time.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
true.
no,
Sure.
no. The first Saw is very much just like a thriller. I don't
Yeah.
even think you see a lot of the deaths in that one.
It's because they had no budget, so
Right.
it's very
I was
much
really
off
scared
camera.
in Saw 1.
It's
a
very-
different kind of horror.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a different kind of horror.
Yeah.
But
It's not like,
long
"Ah!"
story short, yeah, that's the Scaredy blanket. And so I forgot to take a picture of my Scaredy blanket, but I found the stock image of it online.
okay.
So that is my Angel's Scaredy blanket.
I can see
It's
why that
fleece.
would. Yeah.
It protects
I was
me.
picturing fleece, but
Is
I was
that-
picturing
Your
kind of a
apartment is
plaid.
dope.
Is
No, it's
that
a
a
stock
picture
image.
of a blanket photoshopped
It
onto a
looks
different
like
picture of a
it.
bed? It
It
is,
is
isn't
unnaturally floating on that bed.
Because there's a ghost underneath it.
That's the twist you get under your Scaredy blanket, and that's where it gets you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
picturing you,
stock
it's like
image of a stock image.
105 degrees in the
So-
summer, and you're like,
So we watched just like a couple weeks ago. We watched It, and it's not the scariest movie, but there's some parts that
a
are
couple things,
intense. It's unseasonably warm here. It was like 85 degrees, like 90% humidity. I'm sweating balls in my living room, but I had my Scaredy blanket.
Can
for
I
you, man.
can I give you for the theatrical experience something
Sure.
that I did not discover until recently with the help of my horror fan, who I live with, for the theatrical experience.
Is that what we call
this horror fan
yeah, that you
that I live with. Yeah, because Billy lives with a horror fan. I live with a horror.
Oh,
fan.
okay,
so
okay.
so this has helped my adjustment. This does not solve the problem, but it takes the edge off. Earplugs
Oh,
for the theatrical experience. It softens for me. It's all about the jumps is what I get scared of. It softens it a little bit, and you can still hear what's going on, but it kind of takes the edge off.
So
You
if I
put earplugs in to watch horror movies?
Yeah. The last time I went to see a horror movie with Dan, he was like, and so I was like, hang on. And I gave him my earbuds.
So if I have to go to the theater to see a scary movie, I actually wear a Scaredy hat. So that way, if something is, I don't want to see and hear a jump scare. If I see it but I don't hear it, great. If I hear it but I don't see it, great. So I'll just.
You just need to lose one of those
Yep.
senses.
You're like an old cowboy.
Yep, I'll just pull the Scaredy hat down.
Ma'am.
So that's what I was saying. Halloween, I saw it the other day and I loved it. I didn't even need my Scaredy hat. Like, I only got scared
Look at you.
2 or 3 times. There's only like 2 or 3 jump scares, but
Good for you,
I really
Billy.
had fun. I really hate horror movies a lot. Like some people, they get scared and they get like that adrenaline rush and it's like fun thing. I only get the dread and no payoff. So like a 2-hour horror movie is just like torture. Like it's all the pent up tension with no release.
I'm scared of everything. I feel you. I'm very scared, but I love it.
Oh,
So I
don't
get the
like it.
release.
No, I don't get the release.
I get the release if it's a good horror movie, but I don't if it's bad, which sucks because that's why a lot of times if I go through a bad horror movie, I'm even angrier because I'm like, damn it! Like I went through all that for that, no payoff, nothing. That's how I felt coming out of The Nun. I was like, all those cheap ass jump scares. The only thing that movie had going for it was all these the loudest jump scares I've ever heard in a movie. Because I think they even knew that their jump scares were lame, so they just had to turn the volume up
Crank
and
them
just do
up.
it through sheer volume. You get to the end, I'm like, for that,
Jerks.
really, all that for nothing? That was nothing. There's nothing to it.
I am scared of Ducky. Guys, it's been a good show. Billy, thank you for sharing your blanket with us.
There are a lot of people
Thank you for being a good
SJ
sport
fans
about it.
that are not horror fans, so I feel
That's
like
totally
I've
fine.
given you some good tips. Wear a Scaredy
that's right.
hat if you have to go.
That's right. I think for Christmas we need to pull together and get you like a Scaredy slanket.
Yeah, a Scaredy Snuggie.
Yes, Scaredy Snuggie. I think that would be really, really
What
good.
is a slanket?
It's
the 30 Rock
cheaper.
it's the 30
Oh no,
Rock
it's real
version.
because that's
really?
what I got. Yeah, it's
remember
like
that.
it's like the 10.
Off-brand.
It's $10 cheaper than the
Great,
Snuggie.
great.
So if you're looking for a bargain, may I recommend?
Because it has a
slanket.
hood too that could,
Yeah, it
it
has
could
a
replace
little
your Scaredy blanket and your Scaredy hat.
Just
Yeah.
all
It
in
could just
one.
be your Scaredy outfit.
I think that would be really, really good. Make sure you guys check out yesterday's movie fights. It's me, Julia Prescott, and Trisha Hirschberger. We had a lot of fun. Check it out. And do we have anything dropping over the weekend? We're good. Are we
Nothing
good?
over the weekend.
Only sick beats.
Well then, just tell
You
us.
can
just tell us
see
sick
our
beats.
review of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
That's opening this weekend. It's that came out last week, I think. So you can go see that if you or check that out if you're on the
Perfect.
fence about Bohemian Rhapsody and want to know what we thought.
They will get you on one side of the fence or the other. I won't spoil which side. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye.